What's good, beautiful people? I'm the Black Thumb, and this is my man's
Ayati.
And welcome to New to the Game podcast, the podcast for the casual NBA fan.
Now, the casual NBA fan is more interested in the fashion, the culture, the music, the drama. All right, T, what we talking about today?
Our second drama quarter is going to involve just our reactions and general thoughts and feelings on the recent results of our most recent presidential election between Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. Obviously, Donald Trump is president-elect and will be our next president. And I mean, he won. He had a resounding victory in the sense that he won both the Electoral College and the popular vote. And so, yeah, Ayati, what are your thoughts on the election overall? What are your thoughts on the results, and how do you reconcile those results with where we are in our country?
I'm not surprised, if that makes sense to anybody. Like, everybody's like, oh, I'm shocked. And I'm like, the dog been barking. Like, if it bark, it bark. This is what this country is. Like, it's been showing you this shit, and you surprised that it showed what it want, that it don't want a woman to tell them what the fuck to do, that it don't like black people, and they like saying crazy shit, and they don't care if you're a convict or killer or whatever, as long as you look like a white man. That sounds like pretty on track for what this motherfucker done for the last 400 years or since the inception of this thing called the United States. So I'm not shocked in that aspect of it. I think it's just I'm going through the shock as everyone else is. Like, just, like, oh, this shit real. Like, that's the part that's kind of like, okay, so it is happening. But I had already mentally expected this type of result. Like, it's not something I didn't envision, because this is how I see it. For me, it's just, I would have preferred to be disappointed. Like, I expected the United States to be very racist, especially with my experience as a 40-year-old black man in America. These are just how I see it. I would have loved to be disappointed. Like, shocked. Like, oh, damn, so they do like black women.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
Pleasantly surprised.
Like, oh, damn, I am welcome here.
I guess we are ready for this.
Okay, so all them cops, all the people getting shot in the street, that isn't a symptom of how you really get down? Like, okay. Oh, all the division and all the statistics of, like, how a community is treated is how you feel about them. Like, I always say it. Like, I'll never forget what my systems thinking instructor in business school told me. She said, a system is not defined by what you say it is, it's by the results it produces. You can say, hey, this is a blanket maker, but if it's making nails, that's what it does. It makes nails. So I'm just always looking at this shit. Like, when I look at our education system, our food, our fucking music, everything, I say this is doing what it's supposed to do. It's not a broken system. It's a very efficient machine at what it does. And it's very hard to stop it. So I wasn't shocked at all. The other side of it, what'd you say?
Did it confirm anything that you already believed, or?
Yeah, 100% with that shit.
Yeah, I mean.
But it's like, oh, man. Especially with, like, the cabinet, like, appointments that's been happening lately.
Yeah, I haven't even been following that, so you can update me on that. I know RFK is supposed to be, like, maybe FDA or over, like, something that is related to, like, potential vaccines and those types of things.
Yeah, he's a fringe person. Like, he's like myself. Like, we believe in herbs and natural remedies and all that shit, and think that pharmacy and, like, all that stuff is, like, out to get me. But I'm not against it, if that makes sense. Like, I'm saying, I'm always about do both. I'm not saying, oh, this one's completely wrong. I just don't trust him.
Yeah.
Because of his track record of flip-flopping.
That's fair.
Like, for him, I think it's just a means to an end.
Yeah,
like, well,
he's just trying to get.
He's going to just side with who he thinks going to work. And I'm like, at the end of the day, he's a Kennedy. Like, it ain't because he, like, worked hard to get where he at.
Tell the truth.
Like, the fuck who your people is. Like, he's fucked up. Apparently, he was on drugs and all kind of crazy shit. Like, don't get me wrong. You had two uncles, I guess, that got killed and shit. Assassinations, that is definitely some shit that will fuck you up mentally, and you have to deal with that shit. But it sounds like you was strung out, bruh. And in my community, you get strung out, your ass is a bum. You don't bounce back. You don't run shit. And
or you're an outlier if you do. Like you're the exception, not the rule. In our community, if you are addicted to something,
you better already be successful if you get addicted.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
It ain't get addicted, then go become it.
Yeah,
like
you can't
Odom
be
was Odom before he became a crackhead.
Right. You can't be a regular person, get addicted to something, have a run-in with the law, or get tripped up a couple of times, and then build success after that. It's very difficult to do.
Very rare.
That is the outlier, not the rule.
It's very rare for us. So it's like, and then like they're appointing random ass people to like positions, like I guess over the Department of Justice. It's like some dude that's already like accused of child trafficking by his own folks. They like, yo, this dude is already accused of being like actually moving children. And you're gonna put him in the head of the Justice Department, and then like you already know how I feel about Elon Musk.
Yeah.
What is it's called the Department of Government Efficiency? That's what I think they're gonna create for him as his position or some shit. And I'm like, what?
Hold on, stop. Are we serious?
I hope this is all social media shit just made up.
If that is true, and
it's like it's supposed to be based off of like Trump been having like these victory speeches and like he just saying his plans for the first 100 days of what he's gonna do, and the things he's gonna change, and it just sounds very dark and like it's dog whistle, like we about to take it back.
Well, I mean,
old days.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I think that's the big fear for obviously Democrats around the country, and in particular like underrepresented, minoritized, and marginalized communities. Like I think that is what is, for undocumented people, for people of color in general, like, our like, what does our future really look like in a Trump run world? And so I think for me, it was just another opportunity for America to declare who it is, what it stands for, what it genuinely believes, and what it has always been from the very beginning. And I think what it reinforced to me is that like black women are still considered the bottom of the bottom. And it's like it's one thing to be black, it's one thing to be a woman, it's an entirely different thing to be a black woman in America. Because again, we just have to look at the precedents that have been set, right? Like we did get a black man into office, and it took some wild shit happening essentially in our country, right? Like the housing market crashing. It took that for him to actually get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like
a lot of things broke his way for him to get there. And so I think for me, it just says that it just tells me that we still got a shit ton of work to do as a country to number one, just like have a general understanding of each other, and just like having just overall general humanity around other people, like genuinely seeing people as people and not as cogs in a wheel, not as a means to an end, not as a back or a shoulder I can crawl up, over, and around to get to where I'm trying to go. Like I think we've lost the plot on what it means to be a society, and more importantly, a cooperating society where like it can still be a win-win for people. Like it doesn't have to be I win, you lose in every situation. And it feels like that is what the big fear is.
That's what we've been forced to play.
That's what we're
not giving it no other option. And I'm like,
right. At
this point, when you ask like, okay, what things have been confirmed for you, that's one of the things. It's like, and like I want to like hit on a point where you said we need to move towards being more like, it sounds like it's just, to sum it up, empathetic towards each other.
Correct.
But I don't think you can tell a narcissist to be empathetic. I think it's actually like a chemical imbalance, or just like it's a structural thing. It's like asking a bicycle to be a plane. Like, why can't you fly? Why can't you fly? You don't have the wiring for it. And I think we need to start, like you say, call a spade, and stop using like soft language with this shit. Like maybe we're dealing with a monster. Like this is narcissistic behaviors. Everything we're seeing are arms that's just revealing what the real root cause is. Like the monster in the middle is narcissism. And the you win, I lose is an effect of narcissism.
Sure.
I have to win is what the ideology of narcissism is. You can't even be nowhere near me because it's all about me. And I don't think that we can talk that type of situation into being more empathetic. So we need to just start preparing ourselves and be more like, look, you can't feel bad when things aren't making sense, but understand that we got to separate the confusion. Right now, I think our country has a confusion between righteousness and more violent. Mm-hmm. We're equating people who have forced you into compliance to make you believe that you were okay and this is the way things are supposed to be. You are being forced to do this. Mm-hmm. You literally voted against this. So if you have to do this, remember, it's not right. They didn't win because they're right. You're now being forced to comply with something you don't agree with. Mm-hmm. And I think if you walk in with that, whatever happening to you, you don't have to like feel bad about this shit. This ain't your choice. Yeah, that's if fair. You had the ability to do something else, this won't be happening.
Yeah.
And don't let a victor think they're righteous. And I think that's what has been the history of the last 50, 60 years. Yeah. Every time some weird shit happened, they're justifying like this is the way it's supposed to be. Like, well, see, the reason why there's no women leaders and no women in leadership is because, like, you know, they just can't lead. You understand? Just because you keep winning,
right? And well, it's not even that
you're forcing you keep people to not do it.
Well, it's not even that you keep winning. It's like you're tipping the scales to ensure your victory. So, like, in some respects,
you have a bigger stick.
Yeah, in some respects, it's like how different was this election that we just experienced? And I'm not saying that it was fixed or rigged in any way, but just the way the messaging and the modeling was done, like this doesn't feel very different than like the last time Vladimir Putin got elected, right? Like they knew the results before it was happening. Like even if no one voted, he was gonna be the president and in power for the next however many years he got it, because they have tipped the scale so much and they have their thumbs on the scale so much and they have created this system. So like naturally, if you get to create the system, you're going to build in benefits, workarounds, shortcuts for yourself that you have the option to let other people know about, but you don't have to tell other people about that. It's no different than writing any kind of software or any kind of workaround. Not that I'm an expert in that shit, but I imagine if you build some shit from the ground up, like anyone that builds a house, if you want to build in some secret passages and all of that stuff, you don't have to tell everybody about that. But the people that you do tell about it are the motherfuckers that you want to know about it because you want them to benefit. And who's more likely to benefit from it? Typically people that look like you, sound like you, talk like you, think like you. And so I think it's interesting to your point that of like this narcissistic world that we're potentially about to step into. It seems like a lot of his appointments are cut from the exact same cloth as him. Narcissistic folks who have achieved their money and their wealth and acclaim through typically someone in their lineage and not necessarily what they have done on their own accord.
And for a narcissistic person, a trophy that has their name on it is the only important thing. It doesn't matter how they got there. Yeah. If they're in a race and they're racing against people who don't have legs, as long as I get the trophy.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the tortoise and the hare. The story where like the hare is actually faster than the turtle, but the turtle just had a whole bunch of cousins along the way that looked exactly alike, and then somehow it was at the end. The rabbit, like, he didn't see all this stuff transpiring. Like, how the fuck this motherfucker get to the end? I am a rabbit. I run way faster than a turtle. Didn't know he's doing all this weird shit to win. And for the narcissistic victor, the trophy is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter that I actually am better than these people. It's the belief in my head that I'm better than these people, even if evidence in the world is saying the exact opposite. Yeah. And that narcissism, at the end of the day, stems from white supremacy. It's one and the same. Yeah. So the only thing I can leave people with is just read a few books to get yourself comfortable. I say read Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. That's a very good book. Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents by Octavia E. Butler, and read Bad or the Dumbing of America by Paul Fasal. Them 4 books that get you comfortable enough to navigate through this time and be like, okay, like it's not you. It's just, this is what this is.
Yeah,
And
this is what has been built.
so you won't internalize so much of the stuff that's happening to you. It's happening to you. And
It's not happening because of you.
exactly. And we love to victim blame. This country is literally handicapping people and then celebrating that they're beating them. That's not a real, for a person that likes to compete, and I don't even consider myself a competitive person, but if I'm gonna compete, I don't want to race against a motherfucker that ain't got no legs. What the fuck? That makes no sense. Like, it, to me, I'm not narcissistic. I didn't win shit.
That's a hollow victory in a lot of respects.
I'm playing basketball with people with no arms.
Yeah.
I'm playing hockey with people who ain't got hockey sticks. Like, this shit makes no fucking sense to me.
Yeah.
But for people who love imaginary stories and just make shit up, that's what we're living in. We're living in a WWE world where the script was already written, who was going to be the champion, who was going to do this. This is what this shit is.
Yeah.
And they don't care. They just like the story to reflect them. It's a narcissistic mirror. Like, I need to know that I'm the best. I'm the best.
Right.
Not actually that I am the best.
Yeah.
Like, I actually defeated the actual monsters to be the best.
Yeah.
I made this shit up. Like,
Yeah.
you're basically being carried along. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is about to be terrible.
Yep.
These next 4 years are going to be terrible.
Yeah, I mean it's and we'll close on this. Yeah, I mean
Okay.
I think it's yeah, I mean I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think at the end of the day, I think we all just need to just just lean into joy.
Lean in joy.
Lean into joy. Do what
It's a
do
lot
what
of
makes
joy.
you happy, and let the chips fall where they may, because a lot of this shit is already kind of predetermined to some degree, I think.
There's a lot of, I guess, financial moves you can make, but
Yeah, I mean that is the one thing that's been that has been interesting about this election, is like, as soon as he got elected president, like the markets went crazy
because it's all about money.
in a positive way. Like,
But it's only about money.
Like,
Like if that's all it's about,
yeah,
is that really that important? Like,
but for the people that put him in office, it is, because it wealth begets wealth in that regard. And so this is something that I'm sure over the next 4 years we'll have plenty of time to come back to this topic.
Yes.
And some of the things that happened as a result of the decisions that were made in this most previous election. But yeah, man, I really appreciate your take on that. And yeah, so we'll close this quarter with that one.
We'll move on.
And we'll move
people
on.
People who got money got more money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's another victory against people who ain't got legs. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I got more money than people who don't got money.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. And that's just and that's just how it is, man. And that is America in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
cool, man. All right, our episode for today. Make sure you go out and like, subscribe, share, comment, interact with us. Let us know how you feel about the content of today's episode. Also, let us know if you are interested in any of the plant things that we discussed today. Yeah, just let us know what's good. And with that being said, Ayati,
Stay casual.